What's up, everybody? It's Simon from Lake Hub. Today, we're going to call it Pond Hub because you can see behind me, it's my friendly neighborhood fishing pond. Today, we're talking about fishing stocked rainbow trout. If you live in Texas, if you live in Oklahoma, look into it because both of the wildlife departments in both states do lots of wintertime neighborhood stocking in little ponds just like this one. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to fish for stock trout in your local pond. 2 of them soaking bait, 1 of them throwing lures. So first of all, I want to talk about your setup. Micro light, 4-pound test, or maybe even lighter if you're into that. But if you like to fight, go a little bit lighter, maybe even a 2-pound test. I mean, that's for the hardcore trout fishermen. But 4-pound test, micro light, short rod, little lures, or bait. So for soaking bait, the 2 ways are going to be off the top and off the bottom. If you're going to go off the top, then do a really simple setup. Small weighted bobber, small split shot, small treble hook. When I say small treble hook, this is what I mean. Tiny. Trout mouths are small. And stocker trout are generally going to be 1/2 pound to maybe 1 pound. You'll have a few kind of fingerlings that get in there, and then you might have a few bigger ones that get in there. Or maybe they survive, and they'll just be in the water all year, growing in size. But generally speaking, your fish are going to be 8 to 12 inches. Small mouths. If you're going off the top, you can use good old earthworms, night crawlers. Cut them in half, or use small mealworms. Or if you're going to go artificial, this is the ticket right here. Berkeley power bait, crappie nibbles. So I'm going to show you a few different power bait, kind of setups. But crappie nibbles are the ticket if you're fishing artificial bait under bobber for trout. I like to start with yellow and then go from there. Sorry, we're fishing. This is chartreuse. And this is not pink, this is bubblegum. Actually, this one actually says glow pink. For artificial worms, you can try these 2. Sometimes they work for trout, sometimes they don't. If you're fishing off the bottom for trout, you're going to want to do a Carolina rig, and you're going to put some floating bait. So what you want to do is use a tiny egg weight above a snap swivel, or really any kind of swivel, ideally with a little bead to kind of protect your knot from getting hammered by the, so this weight's going to be able to slide so that you can be able to feel the tug on the line. And then you're going to have a leader that's maybe 12 inches to 18 inches off the bottom. You can even make it with trout, you can even make it kind of short because sometimes they'll cruise the bottom. So 8 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, something like that. And then once again, you're going to end that with a tiny treble hook. For floating bait, you have a lot of options, but my favorite is going to be cheese bait. So Berkeley Power Bait has some great cheese bait. My personal favorite is Zeke's Sierra Gold. This is like a garlic cheese kind of flavor. This one is a corn flavor. It smells like corn. It's super weird, and it's like a little bit lighter yellow color. If I'm only going to get one, I'm going to get this one, which has orange, has chartreuse, and it has pink all in one. So you can do a swirl kind of rainbow kind of thing, or you can just pick one color, because sometimes color's the ticket. Sometimes they'll hit on chartreuse and they won't touch pink. So it all just depends on the day. If you're not getting bites, keep mixing up the colors and then go either top or bottom. You can also do marshmallows. They make marshmallows just for bait. This is orange garlic, Atlas Glitter Mallows brand. And I've gotten hits on these. Haven't caught any on because it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird thing to hook a marshmallow and keep it on the hook. And they're kind of big. So I cut them in half and they're still weird. Like the cheese bait you can just scoop out and you just roll it up in a ball and kind of shove the treble hook through it and then dip it in the water and it's good to go. And it stays on, it has staying power. These things, you're always changing, they're always falling off, you're always changing bait, and and then you're surrounded by like floating glitter mallows on the water as they come off your hook. I don't really like them. That's what you want to do fishing off the bottom, is use a floating bait. Typically that's going to be a cheese bait. Now you can also do my favorite, which is fish lures. Lures are going to be much harder to catch fish on, but they are a ton of fun. They're always going to be more fun than soaking bait. One, because you're active and you're doing stuff and you're throwing stuff and your mind's working, instead of just sitting there just watching a bobber. Number two is because you're into it, it's way more rewarding when you get hammered on throwing a lure. What I'm always going to start with when I'm trout fishing for stalker trout is this little fella right here. That is a gold Castmaster, and it's like the smallest one you can get, just nearly. There's one that's like a little bit smaller, but a Castmaster has kind of a funny background. So it was a failed earring. Look at that. Isn't that funny? Like in this, I want to say the 60s or the 70s, it was a failed earring design, and it's a perfect little wobble. It's such a simple design. It's just a slab. It's a colored slab, and it's off balance because it's heavier on one side than the other. So in one of the best pivots of all time, the failed earring company turned it into a fishing lure, and that sucker is awesome. Castmasters in a bright silver color or like that light blue are also really great if you get into a school of sand bass. The bigger ones are great for striper. It's a really versatile lure that's so simple, you gotta love it. You can also get them in a rainbow trout pattern, which is a little morbid, but I've caught fish on them. So, and another great lure to throw, but you can't cast them as far, are rooster tails. Here's my whole little batch of rooster tails. I keep them all in one little swivel in my tackle box to keep them organized. Now, I have to kind of file through them to get one off that I want, but that way they don't get all crazy tangled up. And so I've got all kinds of colors. I've got your, trout, what do they call that? A fire tiger, kind of trout pattern. I've got black, I've got pink, I've got light blue. So the ticket is some flash, and then a trailing tail. So the feather, when it gets wet, kind of has that, kind of soft tail kind of look. And that's really the ticket. I've had a lot more bites on stalker trout on gold flash than anything else. That's how I catch trout in my neighborhood trout ponds. I want to hear how you do it too. Get out there and catch some fish, y'all. We'll catch you next time.